And you talk about the work and how it revolved around certain offline events and certain key moments. And Todd mentioned that in the previous panel, that so often these moments are born around one person's story and inspires a movement. Jeremy, I know you did some work similarly around to stop the deportation of Brenda Navigare. Do you want to share that example as well and talk about how maybe you can catalyze large movements using online tools with a specific online event?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as Rashad said, the lesson is stories are much more powerful as an entry point for people. We're all mammals. We relate to stories. That's how we kind of tell each other that's how we actually have historically communicated information. So, often if you're trying to, get a big policy issue in front of people, we could have run a big campaign and said, gay asylum seekers face systematic problems in having their applications processed, but instead we chose the example of a particular woman, Brenda Namagade, who was a Ugandan woman who was in the UK, who was a lesbian, and the judge at her deportation case decided she didn't seem lesbian enough. And so they said, look, you don't seem very lesbian to me, and so she was deported. It was outrageous. I mean, this person was a tried and true lesbian. And so, so what we were able to do, and this was in the very early days of All Out, is we used this as a storytelling vehicle. We said, look at this outrageous situation. She was literally going to be deported that week. The main function that All Out played was we used this story to just dramatically raise international attention on this. And so literally just in time, it was like such a nail-biter. She was on a plane, and the Home Secretary, Theresa May, in the UK, literally pulled her off the plane just before it was about to take off, and and stayed her deportation. So that's a story. Now, the organizing challenge is to take the story and ladder it up to the policy, right? So what All Out then did is we went back to our members and we said, okay, so Brenda's story was just one of many. And once you've kind of introduced it in that way, people are much more primed to take the next step, even if that next step is more complicated. So that's a simple anecdote.
Yep. And Tyler, I think you have some experience with this as well. I mean, I know that Catapult currently is featuring and tiring stuff with Malala, who's very much in the zeitgeist at the moment. But then you've also worked with large events such as Chime for Change. Do you want to give a little overview of Chime for Change and how it works for less individual offline events, but maybe sort of larger gatherings such as
Yeah, sure. I mean, we created an online platform that lets people choose projects that are close to their heart and then see the impact of their donations. And so this has brought some high-level partners with some big offline events to the table, and that has in turn helped elevate awareness of Catapult and driven a lot of funding to our partners, which is really great. And so the example you mentioned, Chime for Change, soon after we launched a year ago, Gucci chose us to be their funding mechanism for their new women's empowerment campaign, Chime for Change. And the big event for that campaign last year was a concert headlined by Beyonce in London in June. And the really exciting thing about that concert was that it was the first time at a charity concert that concert goers could choose where they wanted their money to go. So essentially, all of the people who bought tickets got gift cards in the value of their ticket, and then they were able to donate that to any project on Catapult. So they really got to decide, oh, here's where my charity money is going, and we thought that was really exciting. And the benefit, I mean, the results were really incredible because that equaled $4 million for girls and women. I mean, the money went all to our partners, and it was great. We were able to make 280 grants to 84 organizations in 81 countries.
Wow.
And so we're now starting to see a lot of those projects' reports come back. They report back at 90 days and at 1 year. So we're at the 90-day mark for a lot of them, and it's really great to see what's actually happening with the money so far. And that's one of the ways that our partners are able to share their stories, talking about storytelling. So it's great to see what's really happening on the ground. And now, speaking of Malala, we're partnering with the Malala Fund and with Glamour magazine because Glamour is honoring Malala at their Women of the Year event in November 11th. And so we're working with them to use that offline event to really drive funding for the Malala Fund.